Alright guys, welcome back to the Dark Souls 2 walkthrough, Indiana Jones style. In this episode, we are going to get our dual spotted whip set up. We're going to go into the Grave of Saints and get the Crest of the Rat by killing the Royal Rat Vanguard. And then we're going to use our new dual whip poison spotted whip setup to take out the boss of the Undead Crypt, Velstat. And then I'm going to show you guys a few of my farming spots that I used to get all my equipment up to max. Now I'm showing you guys both ways to get to Strayed here. This is the unrecommended method. You do not really want to go this way because then you have to deal with all these exploding mummies, and the chances of accidentally aggroing them onto Strayed is a possibility, and you don't want to do that. So I highly recommend to just start from the bonfire. It's much easier, but just for the sake of demonstration purposes, I'm just showing you both ways. So in the last episode we killed the Demon of Song and we got the soul for the Demon of Song, which we are now going to trade with Strayed to get the second, I think it's the second best whip in the game actually, the Spotted Whip. Poison in this game is actually pretty damn good, not gonna lie. And if you can get the Crest of the Rat and the gauntlets from the Sanctum soldiers in the DLC that we already went through, you will have a pretty potent poison setup. So this is the Spotted Whip. Now, one isn't good enough. We want to get two of them. So what we're going to do is we're going to Bonfire aesthetic and kill the Demon of Song again. And just for the sake of completion, I'm going to show you the fight again. It's the same pretty much, just does more damage. So you'll want to do this bonfire right here, Roy's resting place. This is where you'll use your bonfire aesthetic. And once again, we are not going to deal with the enemies, we're just going to run past them. Now, to get the absolute maximum out of your spotted whips, which innately do poison effect, you'll want to infuse them with poison as well. Sometimes you can't do this with certain weapons. Like, for example, you can't put bleed on the notched whips. I guess it was for balance purposes because the notched whips were so powerful for bleed effect that if you could use the infusion on top of it, it would have just made it OP. And so I guess they didn't let you. But in this case, it will let you infuse the spotted whips with poison. And that's huge when you can also combine the Crest of the Rat and the Sanctum Soldier gauntlets. It will make poisoning enemies, especially in PvP if you're into that kind of thing, it will make it very easy to poison your opponent. But in this game, enemies are going to die too fast mostly, unless they're bigger enemies that have large health pools. You're not going to really see the benefit of poison unless you're using it against a boss, and that's what we're going to do in this episode. We're going to kill the boss of the Undead Crypt with poison. He's actually pretty weak to poison, and that's pretty cool. So now, once again, we're not going to deal with all these sorcerers in the water. It's just too much of a headache, and we're not going to go for any of the loot that's well guarded in this area. We're only interested in getting to the boss, because the boss is how we're going to get our second spotted whip. So you can fight these guys if you want. In fact, the Red Iron Twin Blade is in this area, and it's widely regarded as one of the best weapons, if not the best weapon in the entire game. But we're sticking to our whip, crossbow, fist build, so, well, and the Chaos Blade, of course, and the Puzzling Stone Sword. So we're not really interested in getting any more weapons. Now, again, just like the Duke's Deer Freya, you can stand at the beginning entrance here and get prepped whatever you need to do. In this case, we're going to buff our Chaos Blade here before going in. This is a very easy boss, like I said before, as long as you're careful to dodge the slaps here. He does have a grab, but I've never really seen it. It must be a rare attack, but I've never seen it. So you just basically bait, wait for him to slap, and just go to town on him. Just watch for that charge move that he does randomly. You saw that in the last fight we had. But this fight's more straightforward here. We're not going to really see much. He's going to be dead before too long here. Most of the damage we're taking is from the Chaos Blade anyway. And that's it. I'm not sure if I got a few critical hits in there. I am wearing the engraved gauntlets. Now that we have our second soul for the Demon of Song, we're going to go get our second whip. And this time we're just going to do it the easy way. We're going to go to the bonfire. And this is the way you should go every time. Now, alternatively, because enemies don't respawn after a certain amount of time if you're not in the Champion of Covenant, the Company of Champions Covenant, you can bleed the place dry. And this is one place I would recommend doing so. You would want to bleed Strayed Cell dry, because then you never have to deal with them again. But it's kind of a moot point. You can just go to the cell anyway and just talk to him right here. But that's an alternative you can do. Now once we get our second spotted whip, we're going to go infuse it with poison. We're going to need 2 poison stones. Now, we have them already from random drops, I believe. But if you do need a poison stone, you can go back to the area just before Undead's Old Man's Wharf and farm the basilisks there. They will drop infusion stones. Or you could go to the horrible gulch again, the Black Gulch, and farm those I forget what they're called, those lizard things that come out of the walls. They will drop poison stones as well. But you might notice that I have 15 petrified dragon bones, and that's because I farmed for them. And I will show you guys where I farmed for them at the end of this episode. But we're going to go to Macduff, and we're going to infuse both whips with poison. This will make the whips very potent for poison effect. But we're going to do it even more justice when we get the Crest of the Rat, which we're going to go for next. Right after we leave Macduff, we're going to go to the Crest of the Rat area, and that is the Grave of Saints. So it's going to cost us a little bit to infuse here. 2,000 per whip. So the whip that already did poison damage is doing even more poison damage. And when we get the Crest of the Rat, we're going to be doing even more. All these effects stack. So what you're going to need for the Grave of Saints: the Cat Ring, definitely the Puzzling Stone Sword for this next boss fight, no doubt about it, and a ton of Alluring Skulls. The more Alluring Skulls you have for this fight, the easier you're going to have it. Now, unfortunately, I lost some recording footage, so I have to Bonfire aesthetic to show you the boss again. And that means the boss is going to be harder and do more damage. So don't take this fight is what it's really going to be the first time around, because, like I said, I had to go into New Game Plus to show you guys this fight, because for whatever reason my footage was lost. But basically, this fight coming up is nothing but a swarm of rats, but it's actually can be kind of difficult, because the rats do pretty good poison damage, and if you get hit by I call it the stripe, going to Gremlin reference here, the stripe of the group with a big mohawk on his head, he will do a ton of damage to you, especially on New Game Plus. And I was going to show you guys how to farm for all stones the second way here, but like I said, I lost my footage, so I had already released the bridge and everything, and the guy's already dead. So because I didn't use a bonfire aesthetic in a certain bonfire before coming up here, you're not going to see him again. But gotta have to use a bonfire aesthetic because, like I said, lost the footage. But the fight's pretty much the same. What you want to do is get your Alluring Skulls out and toss them away from you and get all the rats in a pile, and then just use your double-handed R2s for the Puzzling Stone Sword, and you'll spin attack and you'll take out a group of rats. Now we certainly don't need the Cat Ring right now, so we're just wasting a ring slot. But yeah, Alluring Skulls will make this fight so much more manageable if you're having trouble with it. I think you need to kill about 15 rats or so before Stripe will come out. I'm going to call him Stripe. And he is not affected by your Alluring Skulls, and you'll see that because I'm going to throw one and he's going to completely ignore it. But that's good because it will isolate him from the group and you'll know who to kill. Because it's not particularly easy to find him in a group. So this is another reason I saved this fight for a while, because I wanted to have as much access to the Alluring Skulls as I could have. So once you can have infinite Alluring Skulls, this fight will be very relaxing. Let's just say that. Let's just put it that way, because the rats are totally enamored by the Alluring Skulls and will completely ignore you. And you can see I bought 99 of them so I could throw them with impunity. Now here comes Stripe now, the Royal Rat Rancard he's called. Now, like I said, he causes a ton of damage, a lot more damage than the other ones. And you'll know when you get hit by him. You'll definitely know because he causes two different status effects, the petrification and the poison. So you'll definitely know when you get hit. Again, just keep throwing the Alluring Skulls. But like I said, Stripe will not be particularly interested in the Alluring Skulls. And I think he's stuck on a rock there, but there he is right there. Yeah, just keep throwing him. Yeah, see that? Two different status effects, and look at the damage he did. Yeah, he's no joke. Don't take him lightly. But yeah, you'll just want to keep using your Alluring Skulls, and you'll see right here, I'm going to throw another one, and he's just going to completely ignore it. See, he's ignoring it. He's coming right at me. But that makes it easy for us. We'll just keep stabbing him until he's done. And that's a wrap. Now for your fight, you will get, as a reward, you'll get the rat tail, which is what you need to get into the Covenant. The Rat King here will not like you at first until he sees the rat tail. But I've already talked to him and joined the Covenant because that was my data that I lost, the footage. So you're not going to see that. But just talk to him and join his Covenant, and you'll get the Crest of the Rat. I already had it before even coming down here, but like I said, just to show you guys the fight, I had to do it again. So now that we have the Crest of the Rat, and that we've infused our Spotted Whips with poison, and we also have the Soldier Sanctum Gauntlets, we will be doing maximum poison damage per hit, which will make the next boss fight pretty fun to kill, actually. But now we have to go into the next area, which is the Undead Crypt. So, as before, we're going to have to trudge through this area. Now, the Undead Crypt is kind of annoying for one reason, and it's these bells that these undead will ring, and then when they ring them, all these pyromancers come into the area, and they do quite a bit of damage. And if you so happen to light torches all over the place, you're going to regret it, because infinite amounts of invasions will happen to you. And that's not fun to deal with, especially on top of the other enemies you're going to have. Do not create light. Definitely take heed to what one of the NPCs says. Do not create light, because you start lighting up the place and you're going to have a bad time. And I certainly don't recommend it unless you just want to get invaded every 2 seconds. Now, for whatever reason, you don't have to worry about the invader coming through here into the boss arena, because the fog wall is still up for some reason. Not sure why, but it gives us a bit of protection. Can't complain there. So just follow this path here. Now, there is an alternate path off of this main path here to the right. And that is where you'll find the shrine where you'll have to pray at. It's over there. But we're not going to go there just yet. Let's get to our fists here. And as you can see, the Puzzling Stone Sword isn't going to do too well against his spear attacks. Best way to take this guy out is with your fists. The overhead slam there. And this is the entrance to the Undead Crypt here. You'll be meeting up with Aldia again soon, and something to note, when you trigger the conversation with Aldia, if you forget to light the bonfire again, you think you might have already lit it, but you didn't. So you might go into the Undead Crypt, get killed, and then you'll respawn way back at Roy's resting place and wonder what the hell happened. It happened to me, that's why I'm telling you guys ahead of time. Make sure you hit the bonfire again after the conversation with Aldia. Now, there's a few really good items in the Undead Crypt, and we're going to get both of them. The first one is another Avalon. So, we'll be able to dual wield Avalons and do twice as much damage per shot, which is pretty cool. And the other is the Bracing Knuckle Ring +2. This will help with weapon degradation, although I've never really seen the impact of it that much. I'm not really sure because the old whip still seems to degrade at a pretty fast rate, but it's supposed to decrease the degradation rate by 50%, which is on paper absolutely fantastic. But we already have access to infinite repair powder now, so if we want to use the old whip all the time, we could. But we're going to use a variety of weapons anyway, but the old whip is still doing the most raw damage with all the whips. Again, make sure you hit that bonfire after the conversation. Now, primarily we're going to use our fists through the Undead Crypt because the knights are weak to our fists, and we're going to just do our overhead followed by our hit there. And we are going to use some other weapons, but these guys right here that are blocking the way, you just got to hit them a few times to get them to come at you. He's only holding shields. He's not got any other weapon, but the shields will do pretty decent damage. And they also drop their shield if you like that kind of thing. Now, I switched to the fire light crossbow here because I thought there was some like exploding barrels or something I could ignite, or the puddle on the ground, but I was sadly mistaken here. So I should have just used Avalon, but I didn't. But I thought there was some like I said, some pool of some kind of oil or something. But make sure you take out this priestess from distance because her black magic hurts quite a bit, and her followers will zero in on you once they know you're here. Just kind of stand your ground behind this pillar here and just keep sniping at her. Yeah, I was trying to shoot the ground there because I thought I could have sworn there was something that I could ignite. But in hindsight, I should have just used the Avalon. It does a lot more damage. And I think I do switch to it here. Try to get a little too cute. Now, in the next room, you're going to meet an NPC that will warn you not to light up the place. And I mentioned this already. But, yeah, definitely don't light up the place, especially near him, because he will aggro on you and his followers will aggro on you. It's just not worth it. Plus, he's a vendor that sells items to you. And he's also a summon for the boss, but do not summon this guy for the boss, because if you do, you're going to have a bad time. He uses a dark weapon, which the boss is immune pretty much to dark. Well, it's highly resistant to dark. And you'll already increase his health pool by using a summon. And on top of that, Velstat has a self buff, so you can see the problem there. Yeah, he's just telling us not to use light here. You can exhaust his dialogue if you'd like to use him as a summon, but like I highly are not going to recommend this guy as a summon. But he will sell human effigies too, which is cool. I usually buy them all from him. There's 13 of them he sells. Elizabeth's mushrooms as well. He'll also have a gesture. We're not using magic of any kind, so we're not going to buy any spells. This area is kind of strange. There's some drop-off points that are not so obvious, like right here. You got to drop off here. I guess if you saw the ladder, you would know to drop off, but there's just some items down here, and then we're going to go all the way to the top of this ladder and get another chest at the top. And then we're just going to drop back down. Now, if you light the torch on the bridge, you're going to get invaded immediately, and a lot right after that. It's just not worth lighting any light. Just don't do it. Just do not do it. Yeah, do not like this right here. Don't do it. Because you'll get invaded right there if you do. Now, we could go through the fog wall, but we're not going to. Now, whatever you do, there's another area off to the right there, which I did not go to. There's a torch you can light, and it will light up the entire crypt, and that's when you're going to have an immense amount of problems. But there's a soul vessel in that chest, and you'll go up this ladder, and you'll hit the hidden bonfire. Well, it's not hidden, but this is a shortcut to it. You could have gotten to this bonfire just going through the fog wall, but we went a little alternate path here. You want to make sure you hit this bonfire, though. The next couple of rooms are a little dicey. I do not recommend using any swords of any type, any long type ranged weapons, anything that has a large sweeping hitbox, because you don't want to destroy, or not destroy, you don't want to hit the bells at all. However, you don't want to spend much time in these rooms either, because there are random enemies, zombies that will come out of the ground. There's one right there. There's skeletons as well. I recommend taking out the zombies first because they have an infatuation with the bells and they just want to keep ringing them and making your life a living nightmare. So do not let them wander around for too long. And don't stay in these rooms for too long either. You're on borrowed time here. Just pretend like you're in a lava pit or something. You got to get the hell out. But quickly make your way into the next room, and this is the room that has our item that we want, the Bracing Knuckle Ring +2. I just used my single jabs here to take out these gravestones to get to the now. You see there's a random, I don't know how that bell got rang, but when the bell does get rang, just get the hell out. Get the ring and get out of here. These guys will just come out of every single gravestone once the bells have been rung. You just don't want to waste much time. And you'll get invaded in this room. You might want to just go ahead and activate this secret passage. This leads to Avalon. But you're going to get invaded here. Now we have 2 Avalons. Well, once we take out this invader here, we're just going to use our whip to stun lock him. That annoying ghost in the wall there. I forgot about him. But yeah, if you were to light up the place, you'll have another invasion on top of this guy. So you don't want to fight 2 invaders at the same time. In addition, any stragglers that came from the previous room. So this is Avalon, and you'll get some heavy bolts. To be honest, we're almost done with the Undead Crypt. This place is pretty small, especially if you know how to get through it. And we're not going to lollygag around. We're only getting the items that we want. Now in this hallway, there's those annoying night dudes with the shields, and they're just blocking our path. And there's the ghostly dudes on the sides. Not much resistance here. I honestly just run past these guys because they're just there's no reason to sit around fighting them. You just run past them. Just get to the hole here, and as soon as you drop down this hole, look to the left and go through where there's like it kind of looks like a railroad track in the middle of the floor. That's your only area that will lead on. Right here. That's where you want to go. We're going to open up a shortcut. Very important to unlock this shortcut to make your life easier if you get killed by the boss. Now, for this next part, we're going to use the Executioner's Chariot crossbow to one-shot the zombies. And the reason we want to one-shot them is because they are very quick to ring the bells. And that's their only objective, really. They want to ring the bell, and if you don't know where they are, this is where most players are going to have trouble with this area, because it's going to be either really easy or really hard. Drop off right here on the staircase, snipe this guy in the head, don't let him ring the bell. You see he's standing right next to it. He's just aching to ring that thing. And this guy right here will do the same. Snipe him. This is a one-shot kill with the fully upgraded Executioner's crossbow. Now, wait for this guy and just jab him. Don't let him ring the bell. Now your life will be easy because no one else will ring the bell. Unless you do it yourself, which, why would you? Now, there is a dragon rider guarding the entrance to the boss, as well as a few knights. But thank God you took care of the bell situation, because you would have had infinite amount of pyromancers on top of these guys. So, yeah. Again, it's best to just use your fists here. Takes them out very quickly. I don't usually like to take on the Dragon Rider until these guys are dead. Do not get hit by that thing, whatever you do, like I just did. You see the amount of damage it does is quite significant. There is a Fragrant Branch of Yore to the left of that fog wall, which you will definitely want to pick up. We just kind of aggro him here. You face this guy enough times. Well, the first one was a kind of a cheap. We kind of just had him commit suicide. But you can see he's very easy to dodge. Just keep hitting him with your fists. He'll go down in no time. Of course, he can stun lock you at times, which is where he is dangerous. Really a good strategy in this game is to roll behind the enemies. Just run behind them and just kind of just hit them in the back. You saw how I did that with the Stone Knights in the Drangleic Castle area. Now, as I mentioned, there is a Fragrant Branch of Yore to the left of the fog wall, and you'll definitely want to get that. It's in this chest right here, far left. Now, for Velstat, let's go ahead and do our loadout here. We're going to use dual spotted whips, poison spotted whips. We're going to use the Crest of the Rat and the Sanctum Soldier Gauntlets. And we're going to have some fun. Now, Velstat is pretty much like any other armored enemy. He's got long wind-ups, so just roll behind him and just hit him with your pincher attack over and over, and just don't get hit by his ranged attack, because that will one-shot you most times. But right here, just as you can see, he's got very long wind-ups, very telegraphed, very easy to spot, and with your ranged whips, you really don't even have to get close to him that much. I just like to roll behind him and just hit him. But he will have a backward swing. You gotta be careful for that. But he's already poisoned now. It won't show it as far as numbers, but you can see his health bar dwindling away already. Now, when he gets on his knees, he's going to go into his second phase here, just self-buffing. He's going to do a lot more damage now, dark damage. So do not take a hit here. Now, if he does this attack, don't get hit by this one, because this will one-shot you most times. I would recommend getting behind him when he does that, but yeah, watch out for that backward swing, like I said. Other than that, it's pretty self-explanatory. He's just got very long wind-ups. Get behind him. Use the pincher attack to keep poisoning him over and over. And if you have to retreat, you can, because he's going to continue to lose health. You can see his health bar dwindling away already. Pretty fast, actually. So if you are having trouble with him and you need to keep your distance, if you poison him with the spotted whips, you can just run away. Let the poison do the work. And that's it. Now, the entrance to Vendrick's lair is open here. Now, we will come back here very close to the end of this series. Not yet, though. It'll probably be the second to last video we'll come back in here to fight Vendrick. He needs to be... His defenses are too high, and you need giant souls to lower those defenses. And there's the memory right in front of us that's shiny. And once we have the Ashen Mist Heart, and we have all 3 crowns from the DLC, we'll come back here, and he will bless them, and will never become hollow again. Now, for the remainder of this video, I'm just going to show you guys 3 farming spots where I farm to get all my equipment up to max. You don't have to do this, but I'm kind of OCD, and I just want to have everything maxed out in the game, even before I beat the game. So, like I said before, The game, unlike the other Dark Souls games, does not end upon beating the final boss and go into New Game Plus. You have to actually activate New Game Plus manually, which I think is pretty cool. I like that much better than in Dark Souls 1 where you just were forced into New Game Plus. Now, no matter what you're farming or how long you're farming, go into the Company of Champions always, because I've already mentioned this many times. You don't want to bleed the place dry and have to use a bonfire aesthetic just to get them to respawn. So by using this covenant, you will never have them despawn. I really don't know why Dark Souls 2 went this route where they despawn the enemies after 12 times killing them. I really don't like it. I think it's really stupid, to be honest. And Dark Souls is all about having the enemies respawn, so you actually have to make the game harder using the Company of Champions Covenant just to farm items in this game. So once you're in the Company of Champions, we're going to go into our farming setup, and we're going to go to the Lair of the Imperfects. Now, the Lair of the Imperfects is where you're going to farm two items: Titanite Slabs and, more importantly, Petrified Dragonbone, which is what you use to upgrade boss weapons. Now, you have to wear certain things to get your maximum out of this. For this, we're going to use the Gold Serpent Ring. We're going to use our fists, so the Vanquisher Seal. We have to wear the Jester Hat, the Prisoner's Tatters, and we're going to have the Firelight Crossbow in our right hand, and that's it. Now, use the Fire Crossbow to aggro the enemies. You do not want them to come at you more than one. If there's a group of them, it's going to be very difficult. So what you got to do is be very wary with his hitbox with his stomp. It is very, very broken. The hitbox on that stomp is ridiculous. It's a very long, lingering hitbox, and it's probably one of the worst hitboxes in the entire game. So back up a good amount when you're fighting these guys when they do their stomps. But generally, you want to get behind them and hit and do the double slam, and make sure you have the engraved gauntlets, because you can get a critical hit and shorten the fight significantly if you get a critical hit. Again, you do not want these guys together. And if you want to dodge those attacks, wait till it's even with your body and roll forward. I've never gotten hit using that method. Now, when he does his jump, just roll to the side, and sometimes you'll get hit. These hitboxes on these guys are they're terrible. So I just recommend getting behind him and hitting him in his feet. Again, just try to dodge as best as you can. But, like I said, with that stomp, you got to get very far away from it. Wait for the water to not even rise up when he hits the ground and the water splashes up. If you go anywhere near him while that water splashes up, you're probably going to get hit. And it takes a very large portion of your health bar when you get stomped. But I think there's like 5 of these guys, or 6, I'm not sure exactly. We've killed 2 so far, so this is our 3rd. Yeah, don't get bit either, because that bite is pretty much an instant kill. Now watch out again. You'll notice that hitbox is pretty crap on that stomp. But this is the easiest way I've found to kill these guys. And they will drop a lot of Petrified Dragonbone at a pretty good rate with this setup, although I don't get any drops in this demonstration. Yeah, there's 5 imperfects in this area that you'll farm. But it's very important to snipe them from distance. And since we don't want to keep wasting bolts, and we're not going to do any extra damage with Avalon, we might as well just use the Firelight Crossbow. Ooh, yeah, see? Well, I was a little close on that one. Plus, we were in the Company of Champions, so we're going to take more damage. But this is pretty much how you kill these guys. And they drop, like I said, Titanite Slabs and Petrified Dragonbone. And I farmed over 45 Petrified Dragonbone to upgrade both of my Spotted Whips and the Executioner's Chariot crossbow. So 45 I used. I already had the Chaos Blades from previous, just from specific drops. Not drops, but spots in the game. Thank God I didn't have to farm any more. And that's pretty much it. That jump, though, it's kind of hard to figure out why I get hit by that thing. But he doesn't have many attacks. This is the main... Wait, I got a critical hit there. I recommend just using your fists. I tried to bleed this guy out, and it just didn't work as well as the fists. The fists are definitely the way to go. So that is the first farming area. Now we're going to go into the second, and that is going to the Doors of Pharaohs. Now in this area, it's a lot quicker to farm. We're going to kill 3 guys, and they have a chance to drop Titanite chunks, but they drop infusion stones as well. Magic stones are very common, as well as mundane stones, and you can sell your excess stores. Once you farm this area for quite a bit, you'll get a lot of stones. So I like to use dual old whips for this farming run, and I like to have the Jester gloves because I want to get more souls, because you don't really need the engraved gauntlets here, because you're definitely going to kill the enemy with 1 hit with the pincher attack with 2 old whips, so you don't need it. So you get a little extra of souls from the Jester gloves and the silver rings, so you're going to have stacked items there. This guy is so stupid he throws away his only means of attack. So you can kill a couple other guys, but they only drop large Titanite shards. They don't drop chunks. And this is the last guy. And if you don't get anything, you just homeward bone back and redo it over and over. And I buy a ton of homeward bones from the cat. I usually don't farm this area until I have the ability to buy infinite homeward bones. So that's the second area that we farmed. Now for the third area, you don't really need to do this, like I said. I just wanted all the whip types. So there's one whip that is only droppable from one enemy in the game. It's those guys that are in the Undead Purgatory that have the whip. It's the Bloodied Whip. It does a lot of poise damage, more than the other whips do. And the only way to get it is to continuously farm it. And it's not a common drop. It's very rare, actually. It takes a while to get these things. And I had to get 2 of them because I'm OCD and I want 2 to dual wield. So for this setup, I use a bleed setup. I use the notched whips and the blood crest ring and the shadow gauntlets. And the reason I want to bleed these guys is because, especially the guys the torturers that have those staves, I want to stun them because they do a lot of damage, especially now that we have Bonfire aesthetic this area. Close to the Undead Purgatory. So enemies are going to be a lot harder to kill. We're still going to use our crossbow to aggro the first guy. This is kind of the same setup as we did before, but it's a little bit different. That's why I'm showing it to you. Because we've already done it in the walkthrough portion. But because we're farming and we're doing it just a little bit different, just wanted to show you. Wait for his 3-hit combo and he's bleeding now. You'll see that red aura coming off of the enemy. That's when you know they're bleeding. And their stamina will be damaged and they'll lose 200 more hit points. Try to stick to this wall. Don't aggro that other guy off to the right there. Now, carefully snipe. You only want to snipe certain guys here. You're still going to have to kill one guy that doesn't have a whip. We only want to kill the guys that have the whips. So the first guy that has the whip is right there. So we're going to snipe him and draw him to us. And just wait for him to do his 3-hit combo. And he's bleeding. See that red aura there? Now, we have to let this guy will aggro if you just stand here at a certain amount of time. You don't even have to shoot him. He will aggro at a certain... He's just on a timer, I guess. I don't know. Wait for him to attack and just hit him. Pincher attack for the win again, and there he's bleeding again. Now for the other guy, there's 2 more to kill. There's only 3 whip guys you're going to farm. And the other guy is right here off to the side. Get him to come down. Don't shoot the guy in the middle. That guy doesn't have a whip, so we're wasting time by taking him out. So we're strategically hitting these guys because we only want the whips users to come down. And the final guy is on the far left on the building. You can still hit him from here. Well, we're going to have to get a little bit closer. Yeah, this is a very rare drop, guys, so I don't feel obligated to go for this. I just, like I say, I like to get all the whips in the game. Since this is an indie build, and I wanted to have all the whips that are available in the game, so this is the only way to get it. Keep killing these guys until you get lucky. And that's it. Now for the final area to farm. We are going to go into the Shrine of Amana. If you want Twinkling Titanite, and you will, because there's a lot of things in this game that take it, you're going to want to go to this area. Now, before we go into the Shrine of Amana, I'm going to show you guys before. I know you don't need it, but we have the Jester Pants that reduce fall damage, but you don't really need it if you don't have the Jester Pants. Once you have killed the second rat boss, which we have now, you can go in, buy the Feline Boots from the cat, and that's what we're going to do next. So we're going to buy the Feline Boots, and I'm going to show you like a shortcut that you can take off when you're farming for the Twinkling Titanite, because you don't want to have to go walking down the stairs every time. It gets a little old, so why not use the cat ring and the Feline Boots and stack the effects to take even more fall damage and just jump off. Well, you can't jump all the way off, but you'll cut down the time significantly. Make sure you abandon the Covenant before leaving. Well, I don't know why I had this footage in here. I think I added the extra footage later. But the Flying Feline Boots, yeah, you'll want those. I actually like those better than the Jester Pants anyway. I think this was supposed to be the actual last part of the footage, and I put it in a little early. So you'll still want to have the Company of Champions Covenant activated for this next farming area. So, yeah, I was supposed to put this area in next. I just kind of screwed up with my footage. So, yeah, this is your loadout. Cat Ring and the Feline Boots. You're going to go down a little bit on the staircase and drop down here and then just drop. The fall would normally take a lot more damage. In fact, it would kill you outright in some cases. But for the Arch Drakes, we're just going to double whip the old whip. Use our double whip setup here. And these guys will also, you can farm along the way. They'll drop those serum, the bleeding serums, and more importantly, the human effigies. Now, the aggro, like I said before, is very specific. Don't go too far where the color of the floor changes. You want at least one of the Arch Drakes to come at you before you even get to the darker area. You can see they do a lot of damage. But they do drop a lot of Twinkling Titanite. It is definitely the fastest way to get it, in my opinion. But yeah, this floor right here is deadly. As soon as you step on that floor, those guys are coming. They're coming. So, I really don't like to have 2 of them rushing me, but that's why I'm very particular here. Now you could, if you wanted to, continue on and deeper into the Shrine of Mana and just take up some more guys, but I just like to make it short and sweet. So just homeward bone back after you killing these guys, and rinse and repeat until you have everything you need. Of course, the amount of farming you do is up to you. I did an excessive amount, but I didn't use it for levels. All the souls that I got, I did not use for levels. I used them to buy excessive amount of items so that I wasn't getting an unfair advantage on levels. And that's going to wrap it up for this episode, guys. In the next episode, we are going into Aldia's Keep. And then we'll try to squeeze in the Dragon's area as well. And I just want to let you guys know I am working on a Dark Souls 3 Indiana Jones build. I'm pretty early in the process, but I found a pretty good path that kind of broke the game, I think. But if you guys want to see that, just let me know. See you guys in the next one.